Mark Selby against Shaun Murphy, the first semi-final of the Shanghai Masters. It's best of 19, so they will play 9 frames in this session, and then they're back tonight to conclude. The last time they played, it was in the Tour Championship 2023, the semi-finals there, and it was Murphy that won 10-9. I don't think anyone would mind, Stephen Hallworth, if we got all 19 again.
No, hello everybody. What a lineup we've got. Not just this match, but the other semi-finalists get as well. Ronnie Judd, mouth-watering stuff, isn't it? And yeah, it'd be fantastic to see both matches go the distance, because we want to see as much good quality snooker as possible from these guys. "24 players came here to the indoor stadium in Shanghai with hopes of lifting this title. Just the 4 remain.
Yeah, and you could make a case, obviously, for any of the 4. Between them, they've won 180 professional titles, so there's a lot of silverware between the 4 of them. Do you think the fact that it's now best of 19, I mean, often it's best of 11 at this stage, will that affect how they approach these early frames, the fact that you're so far from the end, or will they just play how they play?
I think it will. You know, a best of 19 always brings a different dynamic. Obviously, these guys have been around and seen everything there is to see in this game. They've played every sort of format there is. They know the importance of not just every little session, but of every frame. The start is so key. You want to try and get a foothold in the match as early as possible, but you try and break the game up in these little, into little mini sessions, really. Best of 19, of course, finals best of 21. Just try and win your mini sessions, because if you take care of your mini sessions, ultimately you're going to win the match.
Yeah, and Selby over the years has been the master of that in the World Championship, of course. The head-to-head is tight, 17-14 to Selby. Interestingly, the last 6 victories for Murphy, he's won the tournament. So the last 6 times he's beaten Selby, he's won that event.
I think as well, because they have played each other so many times over the years, Selby 41 years old, Shaun 41 years old, they turned pro at very similar times as well. You know, they've become very aware of one another's game. They know the game's inside out. They know each other inside out off the table as well. They obviously both feel very comfortable playing one another. You know, coming into a match, playing someone like Mark, playing someone like Shaun, it can be quite intimidating for other players, but I suppose it's like playing your practice partner out there. It just sort of loses that little bit of intimidation. You're just happy to play your natural game, and I expect a good standard from these two today. They've played some good stuff so far in this event.
Big early shot here. Murphy will always go on the attack, but blue not in. Mark Selby, I thought, played well overall yesterday against Pang Zheng, made quite a few breaks. He's had 2 centuries in the 2 matches he's won. And as I said at the start, his 8th semi-final at the Shanghai Masters. So, okay, he's only won the title once, but he's gone deep so many times in the various iterations of this tournament. Of course, it used to be a ranking event, and it's been held in different venues as well. Yeah, they know each other of old. They met as boys on the junior circuit. We talk about the class of '92 quite understandably, but the class of the late '90s, these two, Neil Robertson, players like Ryan Day, Stephen Maguire, they all turned pro within about a year of each other as teenagers. All had magnificent careers.
Arguably, Shaun has been the best player of the event so far. You look at his 2 previous matches that he's come through, he's registered 11 breaks over 50 from 2 best of 11s. That's pretty impressive. Mark's not far behind though. He's registered 9 breaks of 50 or more. Just shows you both these players are scoring quite comfortably when they get in. So it's got a very interesting feel to this match, hasn't it? We know how good Mark Selby can be tactically. He's able to just tie his opponent up, almost constrict them at times. But Shaun's very aggressive. So the contrast in styles could be key today. But as I say, from what we've seen so far this week, Mark is also in an attacking mood, scoring nicely, which, you know, ultimately is going to win you the frames. These first couple are so important.
Just a few little message alerts going off, but I think the players are kind of used to that by now. I think all 4 players, you know, there's reasons why they would really want to win this beyond just the prize money and the sort of prestige. Obviously, Selby was talking about retirement at the end of last season, so if he could win his first event back, how satisfying would that be? Shaun Murphy needs a good season because his world ranking will suffer with points coming off. No points available here, but it would be a real confidence boost to win it going forward into the ranking tournaments. Obviously, Ronnie O'Sullivan's trying to extend his record in Shanghai to 5 in a row, which would be incredible. And Judd Trump has never won the Shanghai Masters. It would be another one to tick off, and he would have beaten O'Sullivan along the way to do it. So there's reasons beyond just wanting to win a trophy, I think, for all 4.
Yeah, there's a lot of good storylines in the making, isn't there? But the bottom line is these 4 players are still left, and it's a chance for one of them to lift this title. Mark's just got himself in nicely here from that missed blue from Shaun Murphy. It was a big shot, not the type of shot you really want to have so early on in a frame of snooker. Let's just get your teeth into the match before taking big shots like that on. He had no choice though, and it could be very costly.
Yeah, I mean, this is the problem. It's true. Yeah, Mark Selby can tie you up and all the rest of it. He can also punish one mistake with a frame-winning break. He's made 823 career centuries. Murphy's made 657. So Mark Selby is a very, very heavy scorer. And I think yesterday, we definitely saw the positivity in his game. That's been an issue at times. Sometimes he's sort of retreated into his shell. It didn't happen yesterday. He's pretty fluent overall.
He's the ultimate player, isn't he, Mark Selby? I think if you was to say somebody, list all the attributes you want in a snooker player, all the ingredients, you'd pretty much build Mark Selby. I think, you know, every part of his game is so strong. His good days are unbelievable and his bad days are, which makes for a bit of a recipe for disaster for everyone else, I suppose.
Yeah, and I mean, there was a 4-year reign as world number one, where he seemed to come good in every big event, including several here in China. It was 2015 to 2019.
I remember that time well because I'd just got on the professional tour myself in 2014. That was the year when Selby lifted the world title. And for that period of time when Selby was at the top of the game at number one, I just remember thinking, like, how is it possible for this guy to not be number one forever? Like, he's that good, and the results he was getting, the matches he was winning, the tournaments he was taking home, you know, just the way he was playing the game, it just seemed impossible for him ever to have a decline. He is that good.
Well, that was frame ball, so he's taken these very well. And the significance of the break is how it started. Of course, Shaun Murphy missing that blue. These could have been his had that gone in. It's another sign of great players. I think how well they start matches. So often, back in the day, Stephen Hendry would come out and make a century, like a statement in frame one. This is what you're getting today from me. And we've seen it with O'Sullivan, we've seen it with so many others. Kyron Wilson, actually, the World Championship, the very first frame of the final, made a century. So 67 in front with 59 on. Can't blame Murphy for coming back. It's frame one, but to stand any chance, you're going to have to get rid of, you suspect, 3 of the reds with blacks here. And even then, against Selby, it feels very difficult to win the frame from here.
And with Mark as well, what you can guarantee is that in situations like this, okay, Murphy's left the red to middle now, but he'll know exactly which reds to be moving every time he plays a safety shot. He'll understand there is still a potential threat from Shaun Murphy to get back into the frame. Able to just play the right shots at the right time constantly, Mark. He's not just hitting balls around the table in this situation. He's trying to make it as difficult as possible for Shaun. Although that missed red to middle, when you miss, they can go anywhere. It left Mark an easy chance, left Shaun, sorry, an easy chance to lay a snooker there, albeit Mark isn't going to miss these reds.
Well, that's the end of that. It wasn't a snooker. So Mark Selby, of course, had already done all the spade work with the 68 break. He's going to win this opening frame, in which he's not put a foot wrong.
It was the ideal start for Mark. OK, he was presented the early chance from the miss blue from Shaun, but he still had to make the most of his opportunity. It's a statement of intent from Mark Selby.
Yeah. But a long way to go, of course, because it's first to 10 in the semi-finals here at the Shanghai Masters. First blood, Mark Selby. So Shaun Murphy had that early chance in frame one, missed the long blue, and Mark Selby punished him. Reminder, they play 9 frames in this opening session.
It's nice to see Shaun come here this week and sort of really put on a performance for us. We heard in his interview with World Snooker that, you know, he says his last season was one of his worst, and looking to make amends this week. And in all fairness, it was a really disappointing campaign for Shaun Murphy last year. You know, someone of his calibre to lose 5 first-round matches. You know, it's not very often these top boys lose early on in events, never mind 5 throughout a season. So he's probably right in what he says, that it was maybe one of his worst seasons to date. But of course, this is a new campaign, and Shaun took the option to play in the Championship League over in Leicester at the Mattioli Arena, and comes here looking very refreshed. He looks like he's in stroke, ready to do some damage. And, you know, obviously full of confidence because he beat me at Championship League, which is enough to sort of kickstart anyone's season, isn't it?
3-0, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty convincing stuff. He played well. He's looking good. Like I say, you always know what you're going to get with Shaun. He in a way kind of wears his heart on his sleeve, doesn't he? But he's a very aggressive player. I love watching him play. When he gets in full flow, he can reel off the frames so quickly, and he's done that this week.
There is a difference as well between just results and performance. I mean, I know that Karen Wilson last season felt he was playing well. He wasn't getting the results. Equally, players sometimes are winning and they don't actually feel they're playing well. But, you know, if you just look at a player's results over a season, it doesn't really tell you necessarily about the standard they're producing. Of course, in the end, Wilson came spectacularly good at the Crucible. But Murphy, when we start the ranking events, will need points because on the 2-year system, he won the Players and Tour Championships on that cycle. Those points are going to be coming off. And that happened to Neil Robertson, exactly the same events. That happened to Neil Robertson last season. We know that he not only lost his top 16 plays, but didn't qualify for the Crucible. So Shaun Murphy doesn't want to be in that position, clearly.
It's an interesting point you make about performance and results, though, because you're right. You don't have to play badly nowadays to lose matches on the World Snooker Tour. The players right through the rankings are so good. The standard is fantastic. Looking to remove this red left of the black spot here. Just had a little glance at the black to see if it would pass the other red. I don't think it will, so back up for blue. The red to the right of the black as well will be tight as to whether it will pop to right corner. He's got the perfect angle here, Shaun, to go into the pack if he wishes. Needs to catch one of the reds pretty full. Doesn't want to lose the cue ball.
He's always had this air of confidence, and he's had it really throughout his life, because when he was a boy, he was invited in to play challenge frames before the old Premier League against the top players, against the Hendrys and the Steve Davises. And he'd turn up in his waistcoat and he looked the part, and he didn't seem overawed at all playing those guys. No shrinking violet. He knew he was good. And I think for some of them, they thought, they just thought, oh, we're playing this kid, we'll get it out of the way, it'd be nice for him. But then they saw, actually, he could play the game. Just some issue, I think, here. He's asking the referee to look into.
But yeah, you see it across a lot of sports, don't you? The best players in the world, they have this sort of demeanour around, well, in snooker terms, around the table, but in general, when they're competing, and Shaun has that, doesn't he? You can see him stood up straight, shoulders back, he sort of struts around the table. You can feel that out there in the arena when you're playing him. You're looking at him, and, he just fills you with that sort of thought that, he's going to do some damage here, pretty much. He fancies himself, doesn't he, every time he gets to the table. And I think when you've got that bit of confidence built in you, when it all falls into play, you can be very hard to beat. Like even down to the way he chalks his cue and puts his chalk back in his pocket. There's intent behind that, isn't there? And yeah, it can be very intimidating. Although one thing is for sure, when a player is like this, you have to be able to back it up. And Shaun can. Oh, he's just lost the cue ball a touch there. Didn't catch that cluster of four as full as he would have liked. He has this red down the rail, but this is very tricky, because it's not just potting the red. He's got to get out for his next colour.
Yeah, he had to play to disturb them because he needs a couple of reds. There was only one free. That didn't quite come off as he hoped, though, in terms of what he's left with. Oh, superb.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant from Shaun Murphy. That was a fantastic pot. They're so tough. He was pretty dead straight on that red to middle. Cue ball on the cushion nearly. Cued it so well. And if that is one thing of Shaun that he maybe stands alone from everyone else, is his cue action. You can see just how smooth it is at times. He's nice and long, really gets the cue flowing as he goes through the ball.
So this next red to leave Selby needed snookers. It's been a good response, having lost that opening frame, really just from one mistake. He missed a blue, that was it. But he's not missed here. Oh, hang on, he doesn't want that in. Oof. So 62, Selby needs a snooker. Well, it's a bit different to the last frame. Murphy needed effectively 3 snookers. Selby needs 1. And also, it's Mark Selby. So that's why Murphy will be wary here.
Yeah, and he has every right to be wary, Shaun Murphy, because the Reds are in really nice positions, actually. Should Mark get himself in, be able to get the black on its spot. The Reds around the black spot are quite nice to lay a good snooker. Mark just having a look if this is a big pocket. It doesn't look it from where we are. That black just slightly too far over the pocket.
Well, that's a relief for Shaun Murphy. If he can just knock this in, black waiting, definitely his frame. He likes to tell people how good he is with the rest. And he's right to. He particularly likes to tell Karen Wilson, actually, because he's got that mantle, hasn't he? Best rest player.
It's just the way he strikes the ball when using the rest. It's not easy to sort of replicate your natural technique with the rest, if you like, and how you actually cue and hit the ball, but Shaun's able to do that.
Well, we seem to have a slight picture breakup. Thankfully, it's come with the frame 1, but we've got maybe a few weather issues affecting the satellite pictures. But in fact, they are back. Here we go.
Either way, this has been a brilliant response from Shaun Murphy. So both players nicely settled into this match, 1 frame apiece, with 2 nice scoring visits to the table.
And what an early season treat this is. You know, we're here in July. We've got 2 great semi-finals, best of 19s, and whoever comes through the final could be a classic on Sunday. These players, you just feel are going to, all 4 bring the best out in each other. There's nobody making up the numbers in this lineup. All proven winners, and Shaun Murphy has proven his worth there, responding with a break of 62 after Mark Selby won the first with 68. So we're level at 1 apiece here. Only Ronnie O'Sullivan has won more matches in the history of the Shanghai Masters than Mark Selby. However, of course, O'Sullivan has got 4 titles here. Selby, sole title 2011.
Well, he's caught the red a little bit too thick, trying to navigate the cue ball around the back of the black. If he gets the potting line of that red, he avoids the cannon. So both parts of that shot went wrong for Shaun. And straight away, early on in this 3rd frame, marking with the chance. You mentioned their last meeting that Shaun has won. He's won the last 2 meetings, actually, and that... I just wonder if Mark Selby acknowledges those kind of records and results. You know, someone like Mark, he wants to be absolutely everyone. He wants a positive record over everyone. He currently does have 17-14 in the head-to-head, but he won't want to go too much longer letting Shaun keep getting the better of him.
Yeah, I get the feeling he kind of does pay attention to that sort of thing, whereas someone like Mark Williams, if you asked him like he's head-to-head with someone, probably just, well, would tell you he didn't care and probably would be telling the truth.
Well, it was an awkward little pack to get into from the black. You could see how the cue ball sort of arced into them and then went again. Plenty of backspin on that white. Just wasn't able to get the white out of there, though. I mean, the reds have spread quite nicely, but the cue ball is stuck right in amongst them. This now a tricky little one to right middle. Played it nicely and got the cue ball out of baulk. Great shot from Mark.
Yeah, and we're seeing here how players get pigeonholed. You know, the amount of times he gets described as a grinder, within a couple of shots here, he's got everything into play. He's got the table about as open as it can be. You've got to keep a toe here on the floor, though. Maybe a bit more length on the cue. But he's approaching things here in a very positive way, trying to get the frame won this visit. Right old stretch, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and just being ultra careful of his grip hand there on the back of the cue. You can see it was unnaturally close to that red, which meant he had to just cue down fractionally on that shot. Dealt again with it very well. But yeah, I think every snooker player likes an open game. You know, you look at every player and, of course, everyone's got different styles, different approaches to the game of snooker. But I think the bottom line is all the players prefer it when the frames are like this, the reds are open and you're scoring. But what Mark is able to do better than anyone else is that if frames do go a little bit scrappy, he's able to just tie you up in knots, force the mistake out of you. And like I say, he's just the ultimate player, isn't he?
Yeah, I think that's the thing, though. It seems some people don't understand that is a skill in itself. It's not a bad thing to be able to do that. It's a skill because not every frame is going to be open. Balls will go awkward. And not every player is as adept as Selby at figuring out the puzzle. In fact, one of the greatest ever safety players, and it's maybe not said enough, was Alex Higgins. You speak to any player of that era, Stephen Hendry actually said he thought he was a genius safety player, but that's not what people think of with Alex Higgins. They think of the shot making and maybe some of the controversy. Anyway, Selby nicely in now in this third frame.
Well, just didn't quite push the cue ball through far enough there. He had one eye on the red that he was playing into. Was a little bit unsure that he didn't want to push the red close to the black, which meant this black is now thinner than he would have liked. But again, beautiful control from Mark Selby. It's evident, isn't it, how he's one of the best all-round match players we have on the tour. And he's in that little group of players, I suppose, that if you get a win over someone like Mark Selby, you've absolutely earned it. There's a few players, you know, you beat Ronnie O'Sullivan, it's a huge victory. Mark Selby's in that list for me. John Higgins, you know, the greats of the game. They don't just roll over. You've got to really scrape them off the table. If you get a win against these guys, it's thoroughly deserved.
Well, Murphy took on that long red at the start of the frame. Didn't get it. And surely it's going to be costly now. Selby already up to 60. Wonder if his good friend Barry Hawkins is watching, because of course he's top of the breaks league on 141. Selby could just pip it if he took blacks with the remaining 6 reds. And it's 10,000 with high break. They shared a flat, didn't they, in York, Mark and Barry, and then they played each other. And Mark won 6-5 at about midnight. Next morning, Barry had to check out. Anyway, this is frame ball. Very businesslike here, Selby, looking really focused and not looking for problems when he's at the table. He's on the front foot, as I say, very early, got the balls into play. Ooh, hopefully nobody's fallen over there. That was quite a loud noise.
I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Mark Selby so far. Looks very in control of not just himself, but his game. All the clogs are just starting to churn, aren't they? Everything is in perfect working order.
Well, Hawkins' money is safe for now because he can't threaten the 1-4-1. He's taken a blue. Doesn't matter. It's about nailing the frame in this single visit. Again, punishing just one mistake from Murphy. I mean, it was a tough pot he took on.
But that's the level, isn't it? One mistake at this level of snooker can be colossal.
So Selby poised to make his 3rd century of this Shanghai Masters. Just needed one chance. Yeah, brilliant break this. 8-2-4, his career tally now for century breaks.
Doing what he always does. Doesn't take any shot for granted. Look, even though the frame is long gone, he's over the century line. He just wants to clear the table up. Still gives every shot as much care and attention as he would if it was the Open in red. This is why he's so relentless. He never lets himself become careless out there in the arena. Just fully keeps himself in that zone, in that mindset. It's not easy to do because when the frame is won and the century's been made, you often see players just having a little bit of fun with it, I suppose. Not Mark. This is all business. This has been a wonderful contribution. Had work to do with the pack of reds early on in this frame. He's answered every question.
Yeah, and if he pots this black, it'll be his highest ever break in the Shanghai Masters. Previous best 1-3-2. And there's a 1-3-6. Total clearance from Mark Selby. Shaun Murphy missed a long red. Mark Selby did the rest. 2-1. So Shaun Murphy missed a long blue in the opening frame and was punished. He missed a long red in the 3rd frame and was punished. In between, he won the 2nd. It's been high quality between these two. Mark Selby with that 1-3-6. The total clearance to lead 2-1. This is the last frame before the first interval. Remember, it's a long match, this, best of 19. But one of the players, of course, is guaranteed to be in front at the halfway stage.
Shaun there using left-hand side to just widen the cue ball off the side cushion, try and get the white in the middle of that baulk cushion, make it very difficult for Mark to play a return. There's traffic down the left and right sides now. Big frame, isn't it? You know, they've both started this match very well. Both players looking very strong. Murphy will be desperate to go into the interval at 2 each now. Perfect weight on the cue ball from Mark Selby.
Yeah, although he's 2-1 down and Selby's playing really well, Murphy, I think, will be encouraged that this is an open game. That does suit him. He needs, obviously, to get in and score himself, but he's not being tied up. It's a question of who's getting in with the first chance.
Very tough pot he's attempted there. When the cue ball's so close to the baulk cushion, you've really got no room for error. The red in itself was hard enough. It would have been difficult if he'd have had his hand on the table. Was forced into it from Mark's nice safety shot. Now, what's the damage? He's obviously left reds. This red to middle just needs tending to. If he gets nice on a colour here, he could be away. Oh, he's missed the red. Well, I didn't expect that from Mark. The first sign of weakness, I suppose. Just took his eye off it.
Well, he's lucky, really, not to leave that same red. So we've got a rueful look on Shaun Murphy's face there.
I still fancied him to pot the red, Mark, but it just landed a little bit awkward. He had to slightly dig down in the cue ball to control it. But just like Mark Selby did to Shaun a few moments ago, Shaun now with the chance to nail Mark here. If he can get that cue ball tight to the baulk cushion, cutting off routes to get back to baulk. Well, it could have been better. Mark's got a thin edge down this left side. Has to be thin, though. So much too short with the safety shot, hand on table. Shaun will be attacking and getting. Lovely control again. Knew exactly where that cue ball was going. Found a little avenue to send it round. 2 cushions back out for blue. Not yet a clear-cut chance. The 2 high-value colours, pink and black, are all very congested at the minute.
There's no doubt one of the highlights of last season was his maximum at the shootout. That was an extraordinary achievement, really, under the shot clock and under all the hoopla going on around and about as well.
Unbelievable. I'd never thought we'd see that. And Max at the shootout, always spoken about it, you know, do well enough to make a century at the shootout, but that was incredible, wasn't it? What an atmosphere. How must he have been feeling?
It's the fact when he was on the blue, someone shouted out, "Don't bottle it now."
Cheers.
It's just what you want to hear.
14.
I thought you were going to win that, Stephen.
Yeah.
Semi-finalist.
Don't mention it. It's still a sore subject, Dave. But he's a performer, isn't he? Shaun Murphy. You know, he loves to perform, he loves to entertain. And that would have been right up his street, that break. He'd have absolutely loved doing that.
16.
This is harder work than it might look. Just the pink and black covered. It's the cue ball's having to travel a bit, and obviously taking lower value colours. He's worked hard already for 16 here.
And there's still plenty of work to do. He's just slowly chipping away. The reds are all there for him, but it's his position on his colour that is important. That cannon's gone slightly astray. He may can just squeeze past the pink here for red to right corner. Anxious looks from Shaun.
This ring.
Played it well. Lots of left-hand side on the cue ball to get up for the blue. Straighten up the white off the cushion. He'd love to just get rid of that red that's next to the pink. He may not can play on that this time, unless he floats the cue ball just past it for the red into middle. In getting rid of that red, it opens the pink up fully. Yeah, nice pot from Shaun. So slowly unlocking this frame. Felt like a real effort, this. He's really had to focus every shot. Has been difficult, really. Making sure he's nice on his next colour every time. But he's not out of the woods just yet. So last of the loose reds, really. Got one beneath the black that's available. Oh, he's missed the red. And he was a long way away. Just felt like he'd done a lot of the hard work there.
This is the thing. I mean, potted so many reds there, but he's only 42 in front because he was taking mainly some of the smaller colours, so there's loads still on here. Well, it's a bit of a standoff with the red in bulk.
Well, is Mark possibly looking at the plant here down the rail? No. Shaun just happy to keep chipping away at the reds here, just push a few safe. Doesn't need to do anything silly, just try and protect his 42-point lead. Ideally, he'd like to get some colours safe as well at some stage, but for the time being, just whatever you do, don't present an easy chance for Mark. Well, this time it's Shaun's turn to not leave the red. He's just missed to middle. Now, is there a red at the top of the black that will pop to this left corner? Looks very tight. Obviously not available for Mark. He's got the red just next to the brown that will pass, though, to the yellow pocket. Clever shot, I suppose, from Mark previous. Knew exactly where he wanted to leave his cue ball, forcing Murphy to try and bring these reds into play around the black. Shaun really wants to leave them alone, but wasn't able to do so there. Had to at least bring one more into play. Again, refer back to what I mentioned at the top of this match. He never plays a shot. He never plays a nothing shot, Mark Selby. There's always a reason behind it.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, now all the reds are basically in play. OK, one's gone on a cushion, but it's a lot more open than it was just a few shots ago. I don't know whether he plays chess, Mark Selby, but maybe he should start, because he's very good at anticipating, you know, a few moves to come. And he's worked this really well. He's got the table now into a position where pretty much everything's possible.
And there's always a lot of talk, isn't there, about snooker, about how you can only control things when you're at the table. Mark Selby's got a very good way of controlling things when he's not at the table. You know, it's very difficult to do that. The shots he plays, he almost knows the shot you're going to play so that he can then play a good one afterwards. It's, yeah, really mesmerising, actually, to see the shot selection from Mark. And it's why he's one of the hardest players to beat. So a few moments ago, he looked an absolute million to win this frame, Mark Selby. And then a few clever shots later, he's forced a half mistake from Shaun. This red does cut to right corner. And all the reds are open now. So this is a chance. What a massive frame this has become.
Well, in some ways, if he wins it, this is the absolutely quintessential Mark Selby frame. The way he manoeuvred that situation with all the balls tied up into this situation to potentially make a frame-winning break from it.
He's just so clever, isn't he? There is such thing as a snooker brain, and Mark Selby has probably got the best one. His snooker IQ is absolutely flawless. Oh, well, that has come out of nowhere.
Amazing. All that hard work to manoeuvre the position, and then he misses that brown. Second miss in the frame. You remember the red at the start to the middle, but that's a more significant one. And Murphy, who must have been sat there thinking, what's happened here, can now kind of style it out here in this frame. He can just do enough to get to 2-2.
Wow, Murphy was out of his chair like a rocket there. I bet he can't believe what he's just seen. Would have thoroughly expected Mark to at least get back into the frame there. Okay, the reds being in baulk is not a situation that players see all that often. So always has a little bit of doubt around it. Not really doing too much damage to the scoreboard, but he was able to get back into the frame, Mark. He's missed 2 balls in this frame, the red to middle at the beginning and then that brown. I suppose it's a good job the interval is coming, because he's able to just take himself out of the arena, just probably have a little word with himself.
Yeah, the danger is sort of dwelling on that too much. it's a long match, this. He's played well so far, but he'd be annoyed there. Every frame is significant, but had he won that one from the position that he'd been in, it would have been a body blow for Murphy, for sure, who's now just looking at the scores here, 43 in front. So this next red, in fact, 46 in front, but this next red should be 2-2. The main meat of the match, of course, comes tonight in the final session, but it's been an interesting start already. 5 more frames between these two to look forward to. Shaun Murphy's missed a couple himself, but they've been tougher pots, you've got to say. That blue in the first frame, OK, frame 1, not quite played in yet. And then the long red in frame 3 as well, that was missable in any frame. Just waiting, I think somebody maybe making a head start to the bar or something.
It's Kyron trying to put him off using the rest.
Well, the referee's wagged his finger, so hopefully they will keep still. That's all it's about, really, just a bit of stillness on the shot. Yeah, because it was an important pot, that, because Selby, I'm sure, would have come back to the table 52 behind, 43 on, but now there's no way back. So an eventful frame. Mark Selby got himself into a position where he could have come back and won it, but he missed a brown very unexpectedly. And Shaun Murphy has levelled at the interval, 2-2. Here we go. Frame 5 of a possible 19. And it's Mark Selby to get us underway. 180 professional titles between the 4 semi-finalists, with Ronnie O'Sullivan and Judd Trump to come on Saturday. So it really is a stellar lineup here. Well, someone chatting away, as according to Mark Selby.
I suppose of the two, Murphy probably felt the better going into the interval, having pinched that frame well, not pinched it, obviously he was in front to begin with, but Selby had a chance to get back into it, made a mistake. He'd have been delighted to have gone into the interval at 2 each. Mark's looked very good so far today. 68 and a 136. Obviously a long way to go in this match, but as we said at the top of the show, the players will be looking to just win their little mini sessions. Someone is going to win this mini session. 5 frames left to be played. It's just a question of what the margin is going to be. Had to catch that safety shot a little thicker to widen the cue ball to avoid the 2 reds on the top cushion. He's not quite got there. I wonder if Shaun can just get to enough of the cue ball here. I would suggest the answer is no. There's the red over the left corner, as we can see, that he can just get through to. But it's so tough if he can't get to the middle of the white. He's having to go high to just cue past the green. That's a very good shot from Shaun Murphy. They're far from easy. Well, at least the red went in because they're very missable. Cueing down on the ball like that, a fraction, easy to put a little unwanted trace of side on. But what he's able to do is regain the initiative in this frame. He's got the safety advantage now. And note the shot selection he's just opted for. Just to push the cue ball right on top of the brown, was purposely leaving this red over the right corner for Mark, almost wanting him to go for it. Because cueing down is not ideal. If he pots it, Mark retakes the initiative, but it's so tough, he's not even going for it. Weighed up the value nicely there, Mark. Things could become really cagey now. That red in baulk is just a hindrance for both players. Not really able to do too much at the minute. Neither player wants to leave a shot on that red to the yellow pocket.
Yeah, he's sort of drifting into stalemate. Well, maybe drifting out of stalemate.
He's took a big risk there, Shaun. You could see what he was trying to do. He's obviously trying to cover that red with the yellow, but where he had to leave the cue ball, he was always leaving mark with hand on table here. And a shot at this red to right corner. And he's knocked it in. Big mistake from Shaun Murphy.
One.
Yeah, because he didn't have to play that. Trying to keep the game open, but as you say, left the chance. So Mark Selby has won that little duel. Now can he put some together here? He had that chance in frame 4, didn't he? Missed the brown. But prior to that, he was playing nicely.
What Shaun's obviously tried to do there is to avoid a stalemate for whatever reason. Perhaps feels he just doesn't want to get dragged into that style of play. But the shot he's chosen to play, for me, it just made no sense. Oh, wow, again, Mark. What a miss. What a miss from Mark Selby. Again, similar to the brown, that's come out of nowhere.
Well, that's a concern coming off the back, as you say, of the brown. He also missed a red, hadn't he, to the middle in that 4th frame. So it's 3 pots unexpectedly within a couple of frames that he's missed. And before that, as I say, he was doing nothing wrong, really.
That's a huge let-off for Shaun, because he did play a really poor safety shot. He was going to be in trouble regardless. Mark knocking the red in or able to play safe had the cue ball had carried on into the balk area from the red in balk, so he's massively got away with one there, Shaun.
6.
Got to make it count, though. 2 very uncharacteristic misses from Mark Selby.
7.
Collector's items, really. You don't often see mistakes like that from Mark.
Yeah, and it's a test for him, Selby, now, to kind of get over it. Depending, I suppose, on what happens here. If he loses a frame off it, it'd be more difficult. If he gets another chance, then he can maybe put it right. So a big visit for Murphy. These little psychological battles that go on, they don't just go on between the players, they go on within a player's own head as well. I think that's one of the things, again, about the grounding these two had in the junior game. You know, they weren't just bashing balls around, they were playing proper events. And you could travel, in Murphy's case, you know, to Leicester to play and lose 3-0, that's it. That's your day over. But that's what you learnt right from a young age, winning and losing.
Yeah, those events at Willie's were brilliant. I remember my dad, when I was a kid, he used to ship me over to Leicester on a Sunday morning for the handicaps that Malcolm Thorne, Willie's brother, used to run. And they really were. The turnout at those events was incredible. A lot of good players. And that's where these guys all started, playing in those events against one another, testing each other week in, week out. We had a lot to thank Malcolm for. I've got no idea how that red's just dropped.
No, I mean, he certainly looked like he'd missed it. Don't think the pockets have been over generous necessarily, but that found its way in.
25.
It was a great shame, actually, to see Willie Thorne's club go. I still go over to Leicester quite frequently to play Ben and Louis and the lads over there, and we often walk past what was the snooker club, just office blocks now. It's a real shame because what a venue that was. I remember you used to walk in and Willie's table was there, and if you ever got drawn out on that table, it was always a massive privilege.
Well, and now was he put off? He's giving someone the stare. He really is giving someone the stare there. Suggests that there was movement in his eye line. We were saying earlier, you know, he's so reliable with the rest. He was not impressed, whatever happened there.
One.
By the way, if you are experiencing any slight picture breakup, there is a slight issue on site, so apologies for that. Hopefully it's mainly all okay.
Four.
Mark with the option now to play into these reds. It's all a little bit congested, all covering one another really, so may take the chance here to play into them. Didn't need to go into them firm. He's not really moved too much.
9.
He's got the ready cannoned available to left corner. He's got to get his white out of this area though. They can screw over the right side of the table for pink.
10. Selby 10.
So the first really close frame in this match so far. And it's a big one. There's been a number of errors in this frame already. Again, a clever shot from Mark. Not left much of the left side cushion for Shaun to play into. He's got to get the pace right. All about the pace. Well played. So Shaun having to hit this a little thicker to avoid the red on the top cush. Good line, big target in behind green and brown. Just a fraction too much pace. Although Mark's still in quite a bit of trouble. May be forced into chipping the red and trying to find the gap behind the black to get back to balk. He'd love to be able to see the red in the middle of the table. He may just can get through to that. He doesn't really want to be playing the red on the cushion, or the one that's closest to it. He'd love the one just between the pink and black spot. If he gets this right, the line looks perfect to get back to where he is. Just caught it a fraction too thick, but it's still okay.
He wasn't going to leave the table till he was satisfied that cue ball was covering the red near the pocket, which it is.
It was a bit of a calculated risk, that safety shot. Took the chance to play it thicker with plenty of right-hand side, swing the cue ball around the cushions, the figure of 8 safety shot. It was a big target, as I say, behind those green and brown. Was always pushing reds into play. One went over the pocket, and it's a good job he got a good cue ball. Now, does this red clip? It's very thin if it does. He's just got to catch the paintwork of this red, really. Now, where's the cue ball going to finish?
1.
Not great, I suppose. That being close to the side cushion makes this blue missable. But he's got reds waiting for him, so he can put all his attentions into the pot. Nicely done. Held the position. He stayed right with it until it dropped.
6.
So one good shot here, red to colour. And it could be the key to winning this frame. And taking a lead for the first time in the match.
7.
Yeah, he just sort of finished slightly in no man's land here. Not really nice on anything.
Go ball.
Again, just had a little argument with himself in his own mind there, Shaun. Just
Go ball for 7.
weighing up his options. Would have loved to have kept the break going. Tried to kill off the frame at that visit, but took the patient option. Tried to just push the yellow safer than it was. It was pretty much guaranteed he was going to get the snooker. Big target for Mark, these 2 reds. Although the line and pace is quite key because he has to get this one right. Doesn't want to push it on to be available for Shaun.
Certainly the closest fought frame so far. Shaun Murphy 18 in front, but potentially a long way to go yet. The closest match they ever played was the semi-final of the World Championship in 2007, which of course is a 3-day match, 4 sessions. And Murphy led 16-14. Selby won 17-16. They'd actually said beforehand, because they were good friends, obviously, growing up, whoever won, whoever lost, the loser would stay and support them in the final. But you could understand Shaun, in those circumstances, saying, Mark, I've just got to go home. He still supported him, but from his armchair. That was a full-blooded attempt. Problem is, you're never sure, obviously, what you're going to leave, where the balls are going to finish. Put everything into the pot here. Didn't get it. Unfortunately, we've now lost our pictures again. As I say, there is a bit of an issue around the world at the moment. And we'll hopefully get the pictures back because it's quite an important stage of this match. Here we go. Selby's potted that initial red. This is a good chance now. He's missed a few. Now, earlier, Murphy tried to push the yellow safe. So let's see if that's made any difference to whether Selby wins this frame or not.
Six. Seven. 12.
Trying to get on the blue nicely here to screw around the two cushions in behind the yellow. He's not gone far enough. So he's got to reroute now. Just looking at the scoreboard, he's 5 points behind. Blue puts him level. It's all about that yellow. So we know how great a doubler Mark is. His pool background has surely helped him doubling over the years. He's just looking at the option to play that. He doesn't have to. He's got a guaranteed safety shot. But he may be gearing up to take this yellow on. He'll be on the green if it goes in. He has took it on and he's got it. What a shot that is from Mark Selby. You didn't expect to see that go anywhere else, really. The moment he came and stood behind the shot, he always fancied it, didn't he? Straight in, fantastic shot. And now a real chance for a pinch.
23.
These frames really hurt, especially in the long format. You look back at the end of the game and it's this type of frame that can be decisive. Got to get nice on this blue. Wants to be just off straight and he's absolutely perfect. Couldn't have put it any better with his hand.
Yes, and he had missed a couple of unexpected balls, including in this frame. So this kind of what he needed just to get himself going again. Shaun Murphy was full-blooded at the long red. Had it gone in, he may well have won the frame. He didn't. He left the chance, and Selby needs the pink to go 3-2 up. And in it goes. So it's a great steal from Mark Selby. A dramatic frame. The closest so far goes to the Leicester man. 3-2. And there's 4 frames still to play in this session. So Shaun Murphy had chances there, but he's trailing 3-2.
So Mark just able to keep his nose in front for the time being. I'd love to see out this mini session with a healthy lead.
saying about winning titles in a row. Of course, Joe Davis, the first world champion, won that tournament 15 times running, but it was different times. Yeah, in those days, there was no TV, so we didn't have to worry about the pictures going. Unfortunately, it's happened again. There are problems today, clearly. And hopefully, we will be returned to them very soon. Here we go.
One.
Great opening red from Shaun, the type of shot these guys knock in, day out. Back when Joe Davis won it that many times, weren't the matches of like best of 80 odd or something daft, were they, over a number of days?
Yeah, well, the final, as we've lost the pictures again, unfortunately. We'll try and get them back for you. The finals, yeah, they were dragged out because they relied on gate money without any, you know, there was no television. So to make any money, it was ticket sales, and they would play the dead frames. So there was a sort of suspicion that, you know, Joe might have gone easy on opponents to sort of get the match close and then pull away at the end. But anyway, that's what it was like then. They were starting out. But of course, the World Championship, not the oldest snooker tournament, Stephen. The oldest snooker tournament, the English Amateur Championship, which of course you are the defending champion in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, some fantastic names on that trophy. It's obviously an event I've wanted to win ever since I was a kid, really, coming through the amateur ranks. Managed to get my hands on the trophy this year. Some brilliant players. It's great to look back at the history and sort of see, you know, the names that have come through that event. It was nice actually as well to receive a lot of messages from people on social media. There was one guy from Wales, I think he was, said that his granddad or his great granddad won it. There was a period of time after the war or something where snooker wasn't played, but that event continued to go on, and you know it almost became like the world championship while that event wasn't going on. So yeah, it's fantastic to look back and appreciate the history of it.
Well, this is not, of course, best of 97 or something. This is best of 19. But every frame with players like this feels big. Moments in frames feel big. The last one was in the balance. Selby made a good clearance, which felt important for him because he'd missed a couple. So, OK, the match will conclude tonight, but these frames still significant.
Yeah, of course, both players would love a big lead going into the evening session, but if you're not able to do that, you've got to at least stay in touch with one another. Don't let either player get too much of an advantage. Make it all about this evening if it's going to go close. Just try and get your nose in front. As we say, there's 9 frames to be played, so someone's going to have a lead. It's just a question as to who and how much.
21.
Again, an opportunity for Shaun to score a few here, but it's not straightforward. The frame just before the interval, very similar. You wouldn't call this a frame winning chance. Not yet, anyway.
27.
I just love how much emphasis and effort these top players put on every shot. They never play a shot half-heartedly. Every shot is a pint of blood because they know the importance. Every ball counts.
$33. $34.
Another beautifully struck shot from Shaun Murphy. Just effortless. Choosing to play the pink because position is easier. The red 2 over from the black will pass. If he's not straight on this red, he may be able to just flick
40.
other reds into play, possibly the black as well. Yeah, just a little flick, but he's lost the cue ball. It always looked like it was going to go dangerously close to that corner pocket.
Not Selby 4.
A little bit of a misjudgment, that, from Shaun. So nothing straightforward left for Mark Selby. Attacking this red down the rail, and that's a fantastic pot. It's perfect on this black as well. Had to be low so he could just push these reds above it into play and away from the black spot. This cannon is quite a delicate one. He'd love to just split the reds and push one available. So the black will re-spot directly behind this red, but to the left of it, which surely means that red will be available to right corner.
$8.
Yeah, he's absolutely fine.
$9.
So Mark, thinking a few shots ahead here, needs to leave himself nice on this red to then get nicely on his next colour to play into that cluster of 4. It's not the best pack to go into from the blue, so pink or black would be my choice.
$15.
So he's got the perfect angle on this pink. Just a little delicate cannon to the reds. They should all push into play. Oh, delightful. Played it so well. Look at the control. Didn't play it too hard. Knew exactly what was happening.
21.
Couldn't have put them any better with his hand.
22. $29. $30. 37. 38.
So the red on the left of the table is clearly going to be key if Mark's going to win the frame at this visit. He's weighing up his options, Mark. He can leave himself on this red to try and promote it. But it is a big target to try and flick the red off the cushion. With it being slightly away from the cushion, makes it a lot
45.
more of a bigger target. If it was tight to the cushion, you've not got a lot of red to aim at. Here he's got options, can hit the red direct, can hit it
46.
off the cushion first, so I expect him to go close to knocking this red into play. Well, he's hit the red, but it's not nice. Would have liked to have gone cushion first into it. That way he would have pushed it into the middle of the table.
Selby. 54.
Well, Murphy does come back to the table, but it's a bit of a trudge back, isn't it? Because he's in one. Snooker 17 behind.
He's got the two cushion escape here, side cushion, top cushion, but in playing that, he needs to be very careful. Two things: that he doesn't hit the red too full, but if he misses it, he doesn't hit it too hard and leave Mark a free ball. So there's all sorts of things that can go wrong here. The bottom line is he has to hit the red and he has to get it safe. He is going two cushions. Look at the pace he's played it at, though. Very close to catching that thin edge, but played it at a perfect pace to not leave a free ball.
Weili, the referee, with the replacement. The red, when Selby played it, it caught the pink. Had that not happened, it may not have been in the snooker, but it is what it is.
He's got no room for error, Shaun Murphy, with this shot. He's just trying to brush the red and send the cue ball back to baulk. You make a slight adjustment and catch it too thick and it's pretty much frame over. He's in real trouble here. Well, this time he's gone the other way and he's going to leave a free ball. It's just a case as whether Mark will be tempted by it. It's not the most straightforward pot, this. Obviously doesn't have to do too much with the cue ball. Yeah, great pot from Mark Selby.
Yeah, so it looks like he's about to, for the first time, go 2 frames clear.
1.
And you might be sat watching, wondering why Mark chose to take that difficult pot on the brown to middle. And of course, we say he's seen and done everything there is to see in this game. The ball's created a chance from Shaun missing that red. It was a chance to win the frame. Didn't want to have it replaced because, like I say, he's seen things happen so many times on a snooker table. The next shot, Shaun may hit that. He may even fluke it. Anything could happen. It's out of Mark's hands. So took the chance to try and win the frame, and it's paid off.
Yeah, there was definite value because he was still basically in a snooker. Had he missed the brown, the blue was snookering Murphy.
14.
So Selby missed a couple earlier on, but that's all in the past now. And the question is, now he's got to 4-2 with 3 frames left. Can he get a really good lead coming back this evening? Put pressure on Murphy right from the start of the evening session to find a response.
21.
He'll be really eager for 6-3 now, won't he, Mark? Now he's established this 2-frame cushion.
26.
Doesn't want to sit back. Needs to stay positive.
32. Marcel, 39 frame.
Yeah, another big moment in what's been an entertaining match. Selby leads Murphy 4-2. So Mark Selby has made a little move here, 4-2 against Shaun Murphy. It was 2-2 at the interval. 3 frames left in the session. Murphy could still himself be in front, but the danger is, of course, Mark Selby builds a big lead. We sort of think of him as the master of the longer matches, but although in recent times he hasn't fared so well in them. Of course, Joe O'Connor beat him 10-6 at the Crucible. Just before that, Gary Wilson had beaten him 10-8 at the Tour Championship. And prior to that, in the British Open final last season, Mark Williams beat him 10-7.
Well, it was up very quickly, and you could see the swipe of the cue. Shaun Murphy felt that cue ball may have deviated slightly. Playing it at that sort of pace, you really are relying on the table to run true. And the last thing that Shaun Murphy wanted to do was present an early opportunity for Mark. What interests me with that meeting that Mark and Shaun had in the 2023 Tour Championships, Murphy won that match 10-9, but Mark Selby made 9 breaks of 50 or more in that match. So basically, pretty much every time he won a frame, he won it nearly in one visit and still lost, which tells us that Murphy's able to really stand up to Mark at times. Doesn't shy away from it, although he's got to stay with Mark here.
Yes, I think Murphy's great strength is he won't change his game. He'll continue to go for his shots, but he's going to have to start getting them.
16.
Straight away here, he's given Selby the opening.
17.
And he must be feeling good after winning the last couple the way he's won them.
$24. 25.
So he's just played a little brush cannon to the reds, but he's got the option to go into them again if he wants. That red to the right is an insurance ball to pretty much be guaranteed on. It's a free shot to get the reds open.
Dare we mention it? Reds and blacks.
We saw Ronnie had an early chance for one yesterday against Zheng. Decided to do the right thing around the 50-60 mark. Landed low on a red. Chose to go up to the blue because the frame wasn't quite won. Mark's got to do the same. He's got to focus on the frame. If he wins this, he's guaranteed a lead going into tonight's session with the chance to extend it further.
40.
He made a maximum a couple of years ago in the British Open. He played what might be the best ever shot in a 147, a treble.
Oh, it was ridiculous, wasn't it?
Yeah.
41.
There's been 3 in Shanghai. Most recent, though, was back in 2016, Stephen Maguire.
Just under hit that one a fraction. Would love to have been straight on this red, directly beneath the pink. But had an angle on that red to middle.
49.
Already the phones are out.
To be fair, they've been out from the start.
That's a very well played shot from Mark Selby. That was not the easiest black in the world. Had to control the cue ball nicely. He's absolutely perfect on this red to come back for the black off the cushion.
57.
So he's a couple of shots away from securing this frame. And of course, he will absolutely be trying to get nicely on his reds to then get back for the black. But just get the frame won.
$64. 65.
So a fraction straight on this black. He's looking to screw back off the cushion across the face of the reds for either red through the little cluster. May pass to this left corner. Could potentially get a flick on one of the reds as well at the top of those reds, which wouldn't be an issue. Needs to strike it well. He's caught it quite nicely. Needs to avoid that red. Ah, he hasn't. It's gone wrong.
72.
Yeah, and the frame's not won yet. Still 75 on.
May have just potted the black into the left of the pocket, which, you know, these tiny margins out there may have just changed the line of the cue ball a fraction. He had 2 chances of landing on a red there, Mark. The little cannon to one red to hold for another, or if it had drifted past it, he would have possibly had 2 to left corner. As you say, the frame is still not won and nothing is safe. So a key exchange coming up. Mark's just got to block out the disappointment, not only of not continuing the maximum attempt, but the fact he didn't win the frame at that visit. Although he is one of the best in the world, if not the best, at just forgetting what's just gone. He stays very present out there. Every shot's a new shot for Mark.
He just didn't quite get the cue ball to the cushion there. So Murphy tempted. Ah, what a terrific pot. So he's in with a chance to steal what would feel like the biggest frame so far.
So unlike Mark Selby to not get the cue ball tight to the cushion. He was a long way off with that dump shot attempt. Shaun just had to take the chance there to pot that red. Potted it beautifully. He's not got hardly any points to play with here, Shaun. 72 points behind when he came to the table. Just the 2 points really to be able to play with. That means he can pot 2 pinks. He needs blacks with the rest of them. And straight away it's gone awkward. He didn't like it. He was looking at the blue. Didn't really like the pink, just the angle he had on it wasn't favourable. Trying to punch the cue ball through, push the red on to left corner. He's not straight enough on it to hold for black.
Shaun Murphy 7.
Well, they didn't really get Selby in any trouble there. He's caught the yellow. Yeah, it wasn't a great shot from Murphy, was it?
What?
He was still, I think, disappointed that he was having to play safe. And Mark Selby's dug this one out, and now he's looking good to be 5-2 up because Murphy needs snookers.
Oh, yeah, it was an awful shot that Shaun played. One of the worst he's played in this match so far. Was under no pressure whatsoever to get his cue ball anywhere there. The last thing he wanted to do was catch the yellow. And not only that, he left a thin red for Mark, which he could play in such a way that the cue ball was always heading back to baulk. So it's a massive mistake from Shaun Murphy. And he's going to be 5-2 behind.
Yeah, 2 big frames still to come. I mean, there's a lot of snooker left in the match, obviously, but in this sort of session format,
5.
clearly you don't want to be 7-2 down and then having to ponder coming back later and knowing that you're going to need a good start. Equally, if it ends 5-4, Mark Selby might be a bit disappointed, even though being front. That's the
12.
kind of genius of the longer format.
$13. $19. $20.
And according to the average shot
27.
times, Mark is currently playing the quicker of the two. Murphy
28.
way down at 27 seconds a shot, which tells us everything we need to know. Selby is dictating terms at the minute, playing the game how he wants. It's not been slow stuff, that's not what I'm saying, but Murphy just not quite able to get into any sort of rhythm. An in-stroke Murphy, when he's playing how he usually does, he's around the 20 seconds a shot time. So, as I say, Selby really dictating things now. He's got a strong lead.
Well, we've lost the pictures again, but the frame is just finished. And Mark Selby has won it, so he leads 5-2. He leads 5-2. There's 2 more to play in this session. Remember, it's best of 19. If this was a best of 11, Shaun Murphy clearly would be in big trouble, but there's still plenty of time. But these 2 frames do feel vital for him just to stay in touch. And look at this. Finds himself immediately in behind the yellow.
Big target, that pack of reds to get the cue ball into, choosing to go around a few more cushions because it always felt, had he got into the back of that pack, that he couldn't leave anything easy for Mark. So the touching ball declared by the referee. Mark able to just play away. Look at the pace again, absolutely perfect. Couldn't really have put that much better with his hand. He's got the line and pace absolutely spot on there. See, he's used the green as a bit of a snookering ball for a few reds. He can get through to red, Shaun, but it's whether or not he can get back to balk from it. And there's a red just beneath and to the right of the pink that he can see. But the red on the right of the table on the cushion is a problem ball, getting back to balk from it. I suppose it's a different sort of mindset for Shaun Murphy. Doesn't want to gift any easy chances, play anything too aggressive, I suppose, for the rest of these frames in this session. Doesn't want to push the boat out too much. And that's why he's chose to play a containing safety shot there. Just a case of doing whatever required for Shaun to win these next 2 frames and keep himself in contention. Doesn't matter how he wins them, he's just got to win them. Even 6-3, I think, is possibly a step too far. Mark's looking very strong. Oh, he was up and walking. He's just caught the near jaw. He's so good at protecting leads as well, Mark Selby, in matches, and he just knows how to win. That, yeah, I think 6-3 is even a step too far. Time will tell, of course, but Shaun really does need these next 2 frames. And that's a good start. Nice pot.
1. Five. Six. 12.
He'd love to land low on this black. Just be able to pot it, push the reds away from it, bring them all into play and clear up the black spot. He's about perfect there. It looks like he can just push through and cannon the red directly above it, plant the other red towards the left corner pocket. Oh, he's gone at them with pace and he's lost the cue ball. He may have a red to middle, but you can see he fancied being on that red to left corner. It always looked natural to push it over there. Well, that's a fantastic pot, but he's lost the cue ball again. He's really got into that. How well's he hit that? Too well. I'd be disappointed, won't he, Shaun? That was just becoming a glorious chance to get back into this frame and potentially win it at that visit.
Pinball.
Big target in behind the yellow, though. Needs to try and nail mark here.
So I'm off the 21.
Well, another chance. A good one for Murphy. He has forced the error from Mark Selby. Again, now the psychology of the game. If there was no break between sessions, if they just played the match in one go, these frames wouldn't feel quite so significant, but they really do.
One.
To get out of this just 5-4 down, then feels like quite a big result.
Yeah, it would be massive if he comes out 5-4. He'll probably feel like he's won the session with how it's gone. It was nip and tuck to begin with, nothing more than a frame between them up to the interval. But then Selby has just sort of pulled away. He's won the last three. Murphy's got to respond. Now, is he on this red through the gap of reds? If he is, he's quite fortunate.
6.
Because he didn't play a nice positional shot there. Had a big target to play on those reds. From his body language, I would suggest he's not on nothing. There you see, that red doesn't go. Couple of errors creeping into Shaun Murphy's game at the minute.
So I'm off the 6.
And we see Selby there opting to play the safety a little thicker. Wanted to cover the left side of the table from Shaun. He's quite happy to give him access down the right side because there's a lot of danger in playing back to baulk. Shaun can obviously just get through to this red to catch it thin enough. Yeah, it's a good return. Could see a lot of that red, more than I thought. Fantastic shot from Shaun Murphy. Swinging the cue ball round. Now Mark's in trouble. So even though he can see reds, he's choosing to come two cushions, try and flick one and get the cue ball back to baulk. Oh, he's got close on a number of occasions there. There's value in this shot because he's pretty much got 3 chances at catching one of the reds, sort of in the diagonal line from the cue ball coming off that second cushion. But it's important he makes contact here because he can see red's full. If he misses it this time, the referee will warn him, and then he really is in a spot of bother.
They're going to get the freeze frame out here because, as Selby himself says, it's quite important. It's right. Yeah, the marker helping out there.
Brilliant. Great shot from Mark Selby because he had to get that one that time. If he misses that red, he's in a lot of trouble because he would have been warned, as I say. So fantastic shot and acknowledged by Shaun. That's good to see.
Yeah, some good stuff being played here. Murphy, though, has been in twice with good chances already to win this frame. Well, apologies again. There's clearly an issue. It's on site in Shanghai. The feed is just dropping out, I'm afraid, but only temporarily. So here we go. We're back again. Didn't actually miss a shot there.
Again, another brilliant return of safety. These last few shots have been impeccable from both players. Now, is it time for Shaun to attack? Just off straight on this red. Played it in such a way that he was always going to be on the pink. Struck it nicely. Got the cue ball where he wanted. That one probably looked good from where Mark was. You could see his little reaction there. Just holds the lip. He obviously didn't have much of the pocket to aim at, and it held up. I thought it may have dropped the pace. He had a good look. He maybe had half a pocket there, Shaun. And a nice pot from Mark. He's controlled the cue ball nicely as well. So Shaun Murphy with 2 chances, 3 chances, having missed that red. Mark Selby back in, and you're just not going to keep getting chances against this man. Eventually he'll just find a gear.
Eight. Nine.
Well, Mark Selby is as good as anyone at identifying the crunch moments in matches, and this is certainly one. Because Murphy has had the chances in this frame.
17.
At the moment, he's sort of hanging on a bit like that red by the green pocket that he's just missed.
And Mark will look to just leave that red right where it is over that pocket, because in a few shots' time he could potentially play to promote some of the reds near his arm, knowing that he'll be on that red guaranteed over the pocket. So it's, again, a free shot to bring some more reds into play.
25.
Got himself back into this frame. Now it's about closing it out. Mark never misses a trick out there. He'll already have one eye on how to attack the reds.
32.
Just looking there in the red to middle. Maybe a little bit more difficult than it may look on screen, but he'll have one eye on the cannons to the reds, knowing that that red is over the hole. Yeah, he's got a free shot here to just screw over, try and promote the middle of the 3 reds. Well, he's missed the cannon, but he was always going to be on 1 at least.
40. $41.
And again, perfect to potentially play another cannon. Well, choosing to just drop in behind, big target, red to corner, red to middle.
48.
Obviously the red hanging over the pocket as well just makes almost recycle a red. Play it onto it, leave the red there. So many options, Mark.
$49.
So now he's looking for an angle off his next colour to get into that little area in between these two reds. It's not as easy to do that now. Had he have promoted one a few minutes ago, he may have had another red to play on easier. He's got to play a good positional shot after this red.
$55.
Looks a very nice line. Well, what a shot Mark Selby's played there.
57.
Again, the referee could have just picked that cue ball up off the table, handed it to Mark and said, put it where you want, mate. And he'd have put it there. Couldn't have played it any better. Inch perfect.
$58.
Yeah, so he needs this last red now for another real steal.
This has been brilliant from Selby. But Shaun Murphy has had 3 chances in this frame. And I'll say again, you're not going to keep getting them against Mark. Eventually, something will just click, and it has done. This has been a fabulous clearance.
Yeah, I think the second chance he got was the one he would feel disappointed about. He'd made very little from it, actually. At that point, he looked a good thing to close to 5-3. If he doesn't close to 6-3, then he's in big trouble. He'd be in trouble anyway, but certainly 7-2.
71.
It's going to be very, very hard to see him coming back tonight.
This is just what he does, isn't it?
73.
Year in, year out, you can always rely on Mark Selby to make this type of clearance.
Yeah, he's taken control of this match. It was 2-2. It was in the balance. Shaun Murphy kind of half smiling, half grimacing. He's 6-2 down. While Mark Selby has won a series of crunch frames, including that last one. 6-2, last frame of the session.
Well, lovely opening red from Shaun Murphy, and he's had a favourable cannon to the pink as well. Great opener. A frame he just has to win. 7-2 down to Mark Selby in a race to 10 is what nightmares are made of. Has to win this frame to close the gap and give himself half a chance this evening. Oh, I say he was very, very close to just flicking that black and staying on that red to the right corner. He's found a gap that is barely there.
Seven. So I'm off for 7.
Game of margins, isn't it? If Shaun flicks that black, he pushes the black into play, he's away in the business end of the table.
Foul. Shaun 1 for 7.
Well, the black going in may not be much of an issue now if that cue ball has gone behind the brown far enough that Shaun can't see the loose red, so no damage done really. Again, it just kept rolling. That cue ball just didn't seem to stop. Well, he had no room for error again there, Shaun Murphy. He had to catch that red thin. If he hits it thick, he probably hits those two reds anyway off the side cushion. Had to catch it really thin. He's missed it, caught the reds anyway.
1.
Just feels like Selby's starting to turn the screw in this match. Murphy just let a couple of chances go in that previous frame. Suppose he was a little bit unfortunate really to find the gap early on here, potting the pink to middle. But what Selby's so good at is acknowledging these moments, seeing exactly what's happening, not just with his own game, but with his opponent's game.
7.
He knows that Shaun has let a couple of chances go. Things maybe aren't quite rolling for him, but Mark won't concern himself with that. He's here to do a job. And a 7-2 lead going into this evening's session would be pretty much job well done for him this afternoon.
Yeah, and he had a great chance to go 3-1 up, didn't he? And didn't take it. And you think, well, you know, that affect him. We know that last season, towards the end, he was getting a bit fed up with things. But not a bit of it. He's pulled away from 2-2. Obviously, the break that he had after the season has done him good. He's got away from sort of day in, day out grind of the circuit, been with his family, and had a bit of a reset, and that makes him very dangerous, I would say.
$16. $17.
Choosing to go up to baulk colour there because the angle from the red was going too close to the blue. So again, just needs to be careful with this one, playing to an area. It's got so many reds to go at. This really is a golden chance for Mark Selby. Cue ball's just about pulled up.
19.
Removing this red from the pink opens the pink.
$20. 26.
All about just keeping a good white now. Doesn't really need to play too many cannons. Everything
27.
goes.
That ping didn't go, though. It stayed out.
27.
Well, that's a huge reprieve for the magician. Mark Selby missing that pink to middle when it was just looking good. Just slowly started to crack this frame and get himself nice. Now this is a humongous visit to the table for Shaun. He has to see this chance out. He's got to make this one count.
Well, I remember they played in the final in Berlin back in 2015, and in the last frame of the first session, it was Mark Selby who made a great clearance. And it just sort of set the tone as they left the venue, because obviously there was 3 hours or so until they came back. And the last frame, how it's won, how it turned round, even though Selby would still be 6-3, he'd have that feeling in his head, I should be 7-2 up, I should have the match pretty much won.
And you're just looking for any nugget of positive thought out there, aren't you? And as you say, if Murphy is to win this frame now after being sat in his chair, seeing Mark pretty much plumbing the balls,
15.
the 6-3 scoreline all of a sudden doesn't seem so bad. The difference between being 3 behind or 5 behind.
22.
So it is massive, really. Murphy's not
23.
played all that well this morning. The frame after the interval was clearly key. It was so scrappy, both players with a number of chances. Mark obviously ended up winning it, and then he went on to win the next 3 with big breaks. Murphy has had chances today. I just wonder if he wins this frame and the little break they've got now, he may come out all guns blazing tonight.
One.
I don't think we'll see a reaction from Shaun if he wins this frame, but I can guarantee he'll be
38.
fist pumping inside. Think back to that crucible a few years ago when he was giving it big, and after pretty much every shot he was knocking in, he'll be feeling like that if he takes out this clearance now.
Yeah, there's still time. As you say, he hasn't sort of hit his scoring boots, certainly just 1/2 century before this frame. But there's time for that to change tonight. Selby knows that.
45.
So Mark Selby was looking good for 7-2, looking very good. He missed that pink to middle. He was furious as he sat down. And he was right to be, because this pink now, to the opposite middle, it should be 6-3. Murphy's still in trouble, but it could have been a lot worse. And it's not just winning the last frame of the session, it's how he would have done it and how it came about.
53.
Yeah, we're feeling pumped now, will Shaun, having won this frame. It's been a session to forget, really. But the fact he's 6-3 behind, he's still within touching distance of Mark Selby. He's not let Mark get too far ahead. Mark has played the better of the two and thoroughly deserves the lead going into tonight. But I just wonder how big this frame will be. Mark Selby will feel he should have had a 7-2 lead. It's going to be 6-3.
Yeah, it's the old stuff about, you know, now he's got to win 3 of the first 4 tonight and all that stuff. It's what we talk about in these long matches. But he leaves at least with some satisfaction, the fact that he stepped in, punished a mistake.
In these long matches as well, over the course of a week, it's very easy to have one bad session, and Shaun will be hoping that this is his because he's played really nicely all week. We could see a different Shaun Murphy tonight. It's game on.
Well, he's made his highest break of the session in the last frame. The missed pink from Selby was a key moment, but he is still in front. You wouldn't know it from the faces there, would you? It looks like Shaun Murphy's leading the match. He's happy with how the session has ended, but it's Mark Selby who leads 6-3.